Howdy, Jay.
Hello. Well, we're filming 2 lives at the moment, as well as doing a podcast as well. So, yes.
2, 1. Hello.
We're filming 2 lives while living 3 lives. On the way to 1 life.
Like that.
Boom. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
That's grand. Hello, everybody. Right, so Sifu, Boggy,
Hello.
Matthew, Maguire,
Hello.
Sam, Kelsey. How are we? So we're just going to be doing a random chat today, really, about all sorts of stuff. Going into Taoism, just talking more about all the stuff that we talk about anyway, really. And you might find some of it interesting. If not, it's not for you. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dillygaff.
Did he gaff?
Dillygaff. Do we look like we give a
Oh, yeah. Do we look like we give a fuck? No.
Dillygaff. Indeed.
This is Sam's podcast, I always swear. And we've got this beautiful fern keeping us company today because we were going to go outside and do it by the fire again, but it's a little bit windy and cold and we're all fannies, so we decided to do it in here on the green couch.
Yeah. And absent. So being outside, we brought outside inside.
Yes, exactly. This
As
is
we've
very
been
important.
Yeah.
And we have LED lights as well this time, so it's very fancy.
Yes. So yeah, that's it.
Where did we start?
Let's start where it ended.
Where does it end?
Where it
we
began.
started.
Where it began.
Such is the way of the die.
Well, I guess we're doing a men's gala. We were putting on a men's gala, us 3. It started with us 3, and then it has just flowed like the Tao, because we're all Taoists, whether we knew it or not.
We needed people more responsible than us.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. Unfortunately, they were there and they were ready and waiting.
So you even wanted to help.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be part of it, be it, because they're leaders too.
Yeah, exactly. But it's called the equal leaders, and that's what everybody's like moving into now. Is this oneness idea? Do you know what I mean? It's like back in the past, they would have had elders who sort of like looked after everybody and all the rest of it. But with the knowledge that the up and coming people doesn't mean age specifically, really, they would come up and they would take the reins and they would take it forward and stuff. So, but it's about having that mutual respect for everybody, and I think that's what we're trying to embody. Not trying to embody, what trying is force, but
no try and do.
No, literally, we haven't tried to do anything. We've literally surrendered to the divine synchronicities. We've been reading numbers, getting into the flow of all that, and it just so happens that everything is just slotted into place. When you get out of your own way, everything just slots into place, and it's that trust and that faith that we're really sort of like putting out into the universe at the moment, and being around people who also think similar is a lot easier to do it that. Yeah, exactly.
But that's that's that interesting thing of like if you just let things flow and just don't try do and then Yoda. No, well, if you actually look at the history, it was George Lucas based that on Taoist philosophy.
Yeah,
It was
Star Wars.
and like all of Yoda's sayings are actually Taoist or Buddhist. So the whole "don't try do" is a couple of thousand years old, and it's that thing of surrendering and just letting yourself be. I mean, there's the big thing or in Taoism, you have monkey mind and either Taoist thought or Buddhist thought, which we would translate today in Hollywood, Weirdwood, you have the devil and the angel, and monkey mind is sort of the devil, and Taoist thought or Buddhist thought is sort of the angel, but it's in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like divine feminine. That feels, and the monkey mind we know in psychology that has 60 to 90,000 thoughts every single freaking day. So you wonder why you're going crazy? It's because of that.
Yeah.
Get out of that, man.
Yeah,
Or woman. Banana or goat.
There we go. And we could go a bit deeper into that and say that, to up the game here on Earth as it was maybe 200,000 years ago, there was something implanted. Do you know what I mean? As a challenge for us to then come out of that as well. But it's all the divine. It's all God. If God created this, which we think it does, and I'm not talking about God in a religious sense of being separate from us, we are all, everything is the Tao. The Tao is a better term than God, really, for me, to use as a preference, but it's just my own preference. It's like, yeah, we decided to play this game where it's getting infinitely more complex to the point where we're down in the thick of it now in the Kali Yuga, you know. So it's like, but you look at everything that's happening now, and it's always been there. It's always going to be there, you know. And it's that's the real surrendering and letting go. You can say, oh, it's terrible what's happening now, or you could go like, oh, good, yeah, it's getting that
about time.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting into that amount of suffering for people, struggle, so that it pulls people up and out of that. But it only.
I've got a
Go
good thing to add to that. It's like, so I'm only really at the moment learning about Taoism properly for the first time. I've seen bits of information about it, and I'm now learning that bits of information, books and stuff I've come across in the past or Taoism, which I didn't particularly know then. But I'm kind of getting to grips with the concept of it now. I've just downloaded a couple of books of it. But one thing which I've noticed, which is actually Taoism, which I'm just realizing now, is when I was in the Dark Night of the Soul, I came across this speaker on YouTube, and she wrote this book. The book was called The 33 Codes, and 33 I was seeing everywhere at the time. I was just seeing that number over and over again. And inside the book, it was broken down into small like passages. And one of them, it was that: relax, let go, trust, surrender. And like, would you say that's pretty Taoist in terms of you relaxing, you letting go, you trusting, you surrendering? It was like that impactful on me that I wrote it on my arm, and I would look at it on my worst days, and like so it's like suffering, isn't it? We've interlinked this into suffering, right? So ultimately, one of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge of being a human being, is to alleviate suffering to the best of your capabilities. My suffering was intensified at that moment for greater than any other point in my life. So, which is why I'm using that as an example. And it was the full body anxiety that I was experiencing, and the more I resisted against it and tried to fight against it, the worse it got. The more intense it got, the more uncomfortable it got, and the more the suffering dial was turned up. And then as soon as I'd lie down, take a deep breath out, just sit there and just went, go on then. What is this? Whatever this is, I'm going to let this be what it is. And I'm going to let it just flow, and I just trust that everything's going to be okay. If I give in to this sensation that I'm experiencing of the anxiety, and the more I sank into it and went into it and allowed it to be, it started to ease. And not only did it start to ease, it started to feel quite beautiful. It started to feel quite nice. I was like, wow, this is actually quite a fucking magical process that I'm experiencing. And it became something spiritual rather than something that was about suffering. And yeah, like I say, what the good thing for me about learning more about Taoism, and as I say again, I've just downloaded 2 books because it permeates pretty much, if not everything that I've ever learned about how to ease suffering and about how to maneuver your way through the human journey in the way that causes the least resistance and the least suffering possible, basically.
So. Surrender, isn't it? That's it. Yeah. It's like the worse it gets, the better it is, because it's forcing you, in essence, it's literally twisting your hand to surrender and let go to the divine will of everything. Which, when you look at the stars, you look at the sun, you look at all these astrological calendars that are playing out right now, that's the thing that is in control. And we think as a mind, there was a really good experiment done, and it's that, there is problems with this experiment, obviously, but it said press a button whenever you feel like it. Really simple experiment. And a lot of people would they would actually be thinking about when they were actually going to press the button a long time before they actually pressed the button, if that makes sense. So basically, they were like, press a button whenever you feel like it. When actual fact, the brain was already going to press the button exactly when it was going to press the button. So similar to that, if you separate yourself from it and go, oh, okay, I'll zoom out, then everything that's happening in your life, like how did we meet again in this lifetime? How is it that I was just sat next to Matthew in ayahuasca? What to lead us to where we are now? Could there have been another person who could have done that? We could have linked with, maybe, but you're always going to get to the same divine purpose, because that's what the suffering makes you do, in essence. It literally goes like, have you had enough yet? Have you had enough yet? You can surrender whenever, and then you'll realize that you have no control, and it's literally releasing the ego mind and integrating that into your body. And then you go like, oh, cool, don't really have to do much anymore, do I? So no.
So my Sifus, I'm not sure if I told you this story yet. My Sifus, being divinely bastards they were, they did that principle and it's a bit of a I think it's a classic because I've seen it a couple of times in movies. They threw me into a river. They threw me into a real strong current, and I swam back and knackered myself out, swim back. And as I was getting out, they says, "Now relax," and they pushed me back in again. I was so freaking knackered, I had to relax. I hadn't had any choice. But by relaxing, instead of being pulled under like I was and thinking I was going to drown, by relaxing, I was just drifted with the current and eventually got thrown onto the bank anyway. And them being them would say, "Have you learnt yet? Have you got it yet?" And it's like, it's like, "What, you're going to fucking throw me in the river?" No. You haven't learned yet. So, no, have you learned yet? Oh, fuck. Yes. Okay. Surrender to the Tao. Surrender to the universe. When you surrender, things will divinely happen. Or another way of doing that is look back, meditate. Meditate literally means focus on one thing and forget everything else. Meditate on everything, all the shitty parts of your life. Meditate on. Focus on all the parts of your life, and then what happened after them, or what did they lead to anything? And every bad led to an up. And then ups could lead to a down again, or a bad, and there's no bad or good. That's just is. But I realised that everything was just leading to more experience, and within at least the Tao that I follow, which is like the Tai Chi way, or the silver mist, the sacred child, the silver mist, the Trinity, is that they very much believe is that this is, some people call it the Matrix, or some scientists think it's actually a simulation. In Taoism, Buddhism, they say that this is a dream within a dream. I think, yes, they're both right, but I think it's a learning tool. I think this place was created by us. That's the important thing, because I love physics, I love science, as well as I love spirituality. And in science is proving spirituality, especially quantum physics and epigenetics. And quantum physics states in 1974, they did an experiment. Like most people have heard, an atom is 99.999% empty space. It's not what they actually found. They actually found there is a fluid of sorts that connects every atom with every other atom. And they call it the quantum field, or the field. But what they don't tell you is that by finding the quantum field, they've proven everything is one. They've proven that reincarnation exists, or you live and die over and over again, because nothing. And both Nikola Tesla and Einstein pretty much said that. Einstein said energy can't be destroyed; it can only be transformed or transferred. Nikola Tesla, who said it first, said energy is conscious, and conscious energy can't be destroyed; it can only be transformed or transferred. So, through finding the quantum field, they found we live forever. They also proved ESP, empath, telekinesis. It was all proven back in 1974, but it doesn't go with how they want things, or how they used to want things, for us to know that information. Because if you knew you were immortal, that you live and die over and over and over again, would you live any different? Would you? Would you? Because I fucking do. Knowing that, and remembering, I started to remember stuff. And there's a movie called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and in that movie, like they sort of say, there's a thing called the Taoist alchemist. And the Taoist alchemist, one version, becomes internally immortal by building up so much energy through qigong. I teach you, building up so much energy that when they die, they retain all their memories, or at least some of them. And so the next life, they remember. So if you start remembering shit, or if you resonate with Taoism, qigong, the I Ching, all of the above, you're a bloody Taoist. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, what do I know?
It's like the Dalai Lama as well, isn't it? We were watching that yesterday and made his video about it all, and it's just like when he dies, that's right, we'll see you in the next one. Do you know what I mean? And we've known this in previous lifetimes. It's like, because I know that I've been killed in many lifetimes for knowing this secret stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I remember being burnt at the stake and stuff, and just going like, doesn't matter, see you in the next one. So I couldn't put my hand out because they tied me up, but it's just like, see you in the next one. Like, you're not stopping this. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can try all you like, but you're going to lose grip, and they're terrified of people like that.
Still are.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, But I know my guides, and for a lot of other light workers who are watching this right now as well, know that you are protected in this lifetime. Like, it's a big one that your guides want you to know is like, yeah, it's happened in previous lifetimes, but now there are so many of us here, and the frequency has been raised so much by us doing this, getting rid of this monkey mind, basically, or like integrating the monkey mind, that they are absolutely terrified. But to go back to what we were saying about like everything's one thing, and when you surrender to it all, remember that story of the guy who got lost at sea or whatever, and he was in a little dinghy by himself, and he just prayed to God or whatever, the higher power, and said like, look, if I surrender to you, you're going to look after me and all the rest of it. And he got very clear, yes. And each morning he would wake up, flying fish would fly into his boat, and he'd be able to eat these fish and stay alive. And he trusted in the divine for like months until he was actually rescued. But it was like, in any situation, you can surrender. If your ego gets involved and goes like, oh no, I must struggle and strive, you're putting yourself in that lek thing. And the universe loves us so much that it will go, okay, cool, you've got this. We won't look after you. If you want to do that, that's fine. It's like, you want to struggle and strive and all the rest of it. And it's the same for anybody in life who's struggling and striving. If you want to do that, it's your choice, your free will choice to do that. That's how much the universe loves you. Even if it's going to fuck you over and it's going to hurt loads, it's like, you're creating it.
Yeah, if you're immortal and you live over it, then you're not actually hurting anyway, because it's just translucent. Pain don't
you
hurt.
just think you are. Yeah, exactly.
Because as you look, when you go into certain things, like a modern Taoist of sorts is Wim Hof doing the Iceman, and the whole thing of when you start extreme cold or extreme heat, pain is just a signal in your body. That's all it actually is. And when you actually start meditating on pain and observe it,
sit through cramp.
we think, oh, it hurts because we're thinking it does. But you stop thinking it and observe it, it becomes in Taoism they call it the flag. The pain is just whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, or spiritual pain. It's a flag. It's trying to tell you something. That flag is flapping to tell you something. And there's a great one in Taoism which might come up in the equal leaders men's group, is that when people say, oh, my dog got ate by the crocodile, and my wife left me, and the kids left me, and the house left me, and it's a story. You're telling a story. Your life is a story, and it's like you can focus on that story, or you can change that story. What do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. And you've also got the power to assign whatever meaning you want to any story that you've ever experienced. That's a big one. It's like when you shift the paradigm of your existence, you're shifting everything. You're shifting your story. You're shifting the meaning you give to it. You're shifting the meaning you give to that person.
Or attachment to it.
The attachment to it, the emotions around it and what they mean to you. And you're empowered to assign that meaning. You're empowered to change that paradigm whenever you choose to, whenever you want to, and it's up to you. And a lot of what we are going to be showing people through our own journeys at the Men's Gather is like you're completely not really in control of whatever meaning you give to any situation in your life. And just because you might go home and you're like, oh, my wife left me. In fact, this happened to me. Like, I was married for 10 years. And my wife ended up going and getting with somebody else while I was still with her. And I went home, spoke to all my family about it, sat down in front of my dad. And my dad looked to me and he was like, it's a bit heavy, isn't it? Like, you must feel like really awful. And I was like, not really, no. And he's like looking at me, like expecting more of a reaction from me. And I'm like, if that's what she chooses to do and that's the way that my life's meant to go, then I fully accept it and let it go. Did I have dark moments where
I didn't like her anyway?
Yeah. Did I have moments where I was like, fucking hell, I feel a bit crap, I'm a bit lonely. What's life going to look like? Because 10 years is a long time to get used to being around someone. you just get used to your life. Just kind of it becomes a big part of you, doesn't it? Obviously, it's an extension of your energy in a lot of ways. And so there was a morning there, but I went home and I'd have friends saying to me, "Oh, if I ever have any friends that this happens to, I'm going to tell them about you and how you went about this." Because, like, honestly, you're blowing my mind. This isn't normal. This isn't how people are supposed to do it. I had friends ringing me up saying, "Oh, do you want us to fucking come down and go looking for this guy?" And I'm like, "No,
No.
he doesn't fucking. He probably doesn't know anything about me. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just gonna go in a car and look for some random bloke that's done nothing wrong."
Yeah.
But that's, I mean,
It's drama, isn't it? People's addiction to drama, isn't it? Because everybody, that's terrible, we'll take offence to that. Well, it's a choice to take offence.
I know, and I went back and then I spoke to my auntie, and my auntie was like, "Oh, I know you might look like you're holding it together now and everything, but you know you are going to break down at some point." And I was like, "What? How do you know?"
Yeah.
I was like, "How do you know?"
It's
that?
their own projections, isn't it?
Yeah.
And their state of consciousness. Yeah.
And I didn't. Like, there was no massive breakdown. Like I say, there was moments where I allowed myself to healthily process the emotions of the letting go of that person.
Yeah, grief of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was no breakdown. Like what Sifu was saying before. Like, every time there's been a down, there'll be an up at the other side of it. I sold 10 years of collecting belongings. I just decided that was it. I got rid of everything. Sold it all for a quarter of the price that I got it for. And my ex-wife was like, "Are you sure you want to give this away for that much? Are you sure you want to do this?" I was like, "I want this fucking stuff gone. Like, this is, I'm letting go of it all." I moved into a room about 2/3 of the size of this in the box on the army barracks. But I was opposite, like, my best mate, and my life, my happiness, and everything about it just went through the roof. I had nothing. I'd like 10% of the belongings I used to have, 10 times happier. The space that I lived in was 1/10 of the size, 10 times happier. Like, and I just like let go instead of holding on to it and trying to fix it.
Acceptance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, acceptance.
Fully accepted the whole thing, and I'm glad that I did. And and like I say, people come to me, was coming to me afterwards and saying, like, "I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it like this," because that's not what society would expect. If you was to watch that happen on Coronation Street on the TV program, it tells you exactly how you should act in that scenario, and people act out that story because they've seen it on the TV screen.
Television.
Exactly.
Television, yeah.
But it's not.
Why are they called soaps as well? I don't get. Well, there must be some meaning in that, like.
You need to wash your brain when you watch it. Probably something to do with it.
It does. It conditions everybody, doesn't it, to a certain way? Like, I think he's got me thinking, "Oh my god, that's terrible. Let's burn the pub down." Like, nah, let's just not. Let's go and live somewhere else. Go camping for half a year and just forget about it. It's like, to forgive is to forget, isn't it? It's just like, well, that's it. The acceptance. You don't condone what they've done, but you're not asked by it, are you? It's like, it's like, why am I going to drag my energy into that?
Yeah.
And that's all it's about. It's giving you power away. A lot of it, it's giving you power away to circumstances, people, places, things, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, you go by certain information and I always say Betty Turner. It's not actually her name, but there's a medium that talks about. That like before this life we will come together and we go, like we've got a soul collective and we say, right, I was the abuser last time, you can be the abuser this time, and you do this, and
you
do
go
that.
play the character.
Exactly. And
I know this is true.
That really got me, because that was like that relationship you went through, you chose it. You chose it, and you also technically chose that it was going to go that way, and so on and so forth, and it was going to lead to where it leads to, because like that makes, when you look at all the the ups and downs and all, you start looking and say, hold up, it looks like there's a pattern here, and you only see it from the past. It's harder to see it from the to see it in the present, but you look at the past, you go, that led to this, and if that had never happened, I would have never done this, and I've never done this. And I mean, there's an 80% possibility that if I never had split up with my daughter's mum, I wouldn't be sitting here now. Because I wouldn't have gone to the police, I wouldn't have done this, wouldn't have done that, I definitely wouldn't have met Els. And there's so when you start,
he was in the police.
Yeah. Me!
I know! What?
I used to be serious.
Yeah. If you didn't think this was a fucking pantomime, like, come on, mate.
Oh yes, no you didn't. Oh yes I did.
It is, isn't it? It's like, I chose my parents, do you know what I mean? And it's like, there's been struggles along the journey going like, I used to get in such barneys with my mum and stuff like that. And she still tries now, you know, it's like, those energies are still there. But like, if it wasn't for our parents being exactly as they were, then I wouldn't be here with this vast array of knowledge about archetypal energies within family units, learning about scapegoat dynamics, being extra sensitive and creating confluence around me. Knowing all of this stuff came from me choosing my parents, so that I came into that family to burn their ancestral lineage. I've already done that in this lifetime, you know, and it's like, and then there's a breaking away, there's a separation from them as well, you know. It's like, it doesn't have to be, it's like, I still love them to death, but I'm going to love them from afar, because it's like, we're no longer in coherent thingy. It's almost like your soul has got what it wanted from that experience, and now it's time to utilize what you learned there to help in other ways. Moreover, help yourself really.
Yeah.
That's it.
What he said.
Yeah. And it's like, but we choose all of these things, and like we always say like, oh no, you know, it's like, this is happening to me. It's like, no, it's all happening for you, all happening for you. It's just the resistance to that Tao flow of life that creates suffering. As soon as you surrender and you let go, and it's like, you don't have to keep suffering all the time, you just let go. As soon as you recognize that, and it's like, take what you've learned and go and use it somewhere else, you know what I mean? To benefit for people.
100%. Yeah. It's all written in, like the soul contract thing is like so true. I remember the first time I read the book that I read on that the first time, it was by Robert Schwartz, and it was called Your Soul's Plan. And as I was listening to it in the car, I was just thinking, wow, oh my god, wow, oh my god, wow, it all makes so much sense. You used the word shag when we was up in the mountains, and I said that, and he uses like you might see a woman who's wearing a red dress on a rainy day, and that might key in that for you, and things like that. And with the choosing parents, like when I remember when I was like younger, like all the stuff that went on in my household, and like the NSPCC advert that you spoke about, it would have been pretty. I could have probably been forgiven by a lot of people if I would have ended up going down that route. But what stopped me doing that was, what stopped me doing that was I chose not to let it take ownership over me, over my mind and over my state. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go down that route. I'm not going to follow the program. I'm here to break the chain. I'm here to break the cycle. I'm not here to continue down the same path, because nothing ever happens if you just continue the same path of those gone before you. You're here to make a difference, not to be the same.
And you don't owe anybody anything either. That's the big thing, you know. It's like you owe it to yourself, you know. It's like everybody thinks on this journey, it's like, as empath or whatever it is, highly sensitive person or whatever, it's like we always think that we owe people something on this journey to, like, you know, I'll go and change them and stuff. But that's a guilt complex that's been conditioned into us as well, where it's like, oh, I've got to make everybody happy around us and all the rest of it. And you realise that's a part of your trauma almost, is where you're going and reliving those things and going, if I can create harmony out here, then I can feel safe within. Good fucking luck, because it doesn't work like that. Like, we've got to just do like ourselves and really sort of like focus on what it is that we truly want, so that we can be happy internally first, rather than trying to manipulate. And it is a manipulation. It's good. It's all coming from love. Any manipulation really is coming from love. Everything is love at the end of the day. But sometimes it's a little bit misaligned. And like Sifu says, you know, you've got to be of service to yourself 51% of the time, so that you're constantly filling up your own cup, so you can be all right, so that you can be the best version of yourself for yourself first of all. Then you can then help serve others. If it's just 2% difference and you're being of service more to other people than you are to yourself, then that creates an imbalance, you know what I mean? And you'll start draining your energy down. You'll burn out. You'll have empath burnout, you know?
And I mean, it's happening less, but like 20 years ago, people go, you're selfish. Focus on you first. And it's like, why? Because they, you know, they want your energy, and they want you. They don't want you to change. They don't want you to be less.
But they don't want themselves to change
exactly,
either, because they're overgiving as well. You know, it's
and that's the whole thing with haters. You know, like you get, you know, on like we do this, and you get a hater. For me, I love them. I love haters because it means I'm doing something. I'm triggering them. I'm bringing something up, which is a good thing. And you know, if they can realise that, cool. If they can't, I love you. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, close the door on the way out. Love you. See you later. But it's that thing of you know, it's like it is, and it's tough for people to understand that 50. You know, every single day, 51% focus on you, because if you're 51%, you're building up, you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and that means 49% of the day you can help others till the cows come home and back and go home again. You know, is that you? It's not. You know, you can do it effortlessly, but when you help people more than you help yourself, you know, then that becomes a problem. And there's like quickly two other things like so psychics, you know, like oh, you know, that person's special, they're psychic. You're all psychic.
You're all
And
tapped into
you can
the
train to be better psychics. If you can learn to ride a bike, you can learn to read a mind. Because I know I worked for the FT 100 Financial Index, 100 and 500 index businesses, and it's like Harry Potter there. They use psychics, remote viewers, telepaths, empaths, all the freaking time. And a lot of them are trained up to be better, and we would teach them qigong. So everybody's psychic. Everybody can be what they want to be. You just got to choose it. And then also, you may look at us three, and go, oh my God. No, you may look at us three and go, oh, you're so leaders and you're this and that. And that.
No.
We've all been through fucking shit. You know, we've all been through. The reason I use Sifu is not because some say the words master. Sifu means guide, muse. Somebody points you along the way. But a Sifu is somebody that's been through a hell of a lot of shit. And if you knew what I've been through, like only about 5 years ago, I went through 10 years of depression. And I knew it was just a big freaking wave, but it was the whole thing of, oh, it's just a long dark tunnel. I couldn't see the freaking tunnel. I couldn't see the bloody light at the end of the tunnel. There was no freaking light. But I knew at some point it had to change. Because I know through the philosophy, through life, what life I've done, I know that the bigger the up, the bigger the down. Bigger the down, the bigger the up. Mm-hmm. And that eventually things will change. And then they did. I met a beautiful woman that I fell in love with. I came up here. I came up here, met these three nutters. Oh, two nutters and me. All three of us.
Remote view.
Yeah. But you know, and things are awesome. Things are freaking amazing now. And like literally, like 3 years ago, as we said, I was in the freaking police, and I, you know, the job was good, the money was great, but I hated it. You know, and I had to not hate it because what you focus on grows. If you keep saying, I hate this, the universe goes, oh, you want more. Because it'll give you what you keep asking, what you keep talking in your head and your heart. Yeah. So you've got to not hate it. You know, if things are really shit right now, how do you make it better? Where's the gratitude? What are you, indeed, what are you grateful for? What are you loving? What are you enjoying? And focus on that. Because gratitude is how you change your world.
It's like Bashar says, isn't it? You know, it's like whatever your next highest excitement is, go and do that thing. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether society agrees with it. It doesn't matter whether your family agree with it. It doesn't matter whether anybody agrees with it. You have to go and do what it is that you love to do to get yourself out of that, because you, as a free will being, have that choice always. And everyone says, no, I don't, I've got money and all the rest of it, right? For as an example, I left my job as a forestry worker. I was in the forestry for 13 years as a forestry manager, and I was taking teams of guys out, and I was like, oh, it's a fantastic job, isn't it? And all the rest of it. It's like, yeah, it kept me fit, but I was around loads of pesticides all the time, and I didn't love it. And I was doing it to make everybody around me happy so that I could feel safe and secure within myself. Again, giving my power away. You know, and it's like, you could have had an £80,000 a year job doing this and all the rest of it. It's like, yeah, I'm looking at how stressed the guy is who's doing it. And I'm like, yeah, fuck that. I don't want to do this, you know. But it's like, oh, it's amazing money. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. If I'm working 5 days a week and absolutely slogging my guts out and wearing my body down so much, you know, I don't want to be doing this. And I walked out, you know. I had no idea what I was doing. I just had a child. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, to the universe, it's like, fucking big step, mate. You know, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I just landed on my feet because I was actually integral and I took courage. I took courageous steps on that journey. So there's no excuse for anybody.
No.
You know, it's like, you know, and I may, you know, everybody else said, well, that's naive. You did that, you know, it was a really naive thing to do and things, you know, and all the rest of it. Family didn't understand it, thought it was crazy. Everybody thought I was mental. Yeah, but I knew somewhere that something was wrong, and it was about the time of 2020 as well, and everything was going fucking topsy turvy and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know, all the cognitive dissonance or whatever it is, you know, cognitive dissonance and that, and that was a big part of it as well. But when I did that, it took a wee while, and then it's like I started to land on my feet and I started to do stuff that I loved. I was a handyman for a little while and all the rest of it, and I started doing like different medicines and tinctures and all of this sort of stuff as well. That was before. But then it was like, you know, all of my things that I love to do. Now I don't do anything that I don't love to do. And it's like you find your way, but you have to make that courageous step of like, and sometimes it's Indiana Jones when he's looking down that pit, and he's like, oh, it's all the way down there. And you've got to take that leap of faith, that step of faith. You know, he cheated and chucked sand across it and found that there was a pathway. But that pathway is there for all ears. Do you know what I mean? It's about you going like, shit, this is really uncomfortable. Oh my God, here we go. And you will be caught by your divine nature, your higher self, whatever. But it takes that courage, and the universe fucking loves courage. And courage is the first one on the scale of consciousness that's above neutrality and into like positive, higher frequencies. So that courage, that courageous step that you take is an integral part of this archetypal energies that are playing out on Earth right now. So if you don't like your job, why are you doing it? If you don't like your partner, why are you with them? You know what I mean? It's like, ask yourself these questions. Harsh. People won't understand you and all the rest of it, but it shows integrity or some shit.
Like with the job thing as well, like I remember because I was in the military, and I'd every time I went home to my granddad, he'd like speak like dead proudly of it and stuff like that, and he'd love it, and he'd be like, he'd go out and speak to his friends about it. And then every time my mum like introduced me to anyone, this is my son, he's in the RAF. This is my son, he's in the RAF.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. It was like quite a big thing for them. And then I got like 5-6 years in, and I was like, yeah, I've just come back from a war zone and like came very close to dying. And I'm pretty sure that it's so one rich country can take natural resources from a poor country. So like, why am I doing this? And then like, so and again, like people in the rank structure, like my sergeant, he'd be like, oh yeah, do you want to get promoted and stuff and do what I do? And I said, do you enjoy your job? And he was like,
pause.
Well, you know, it's, it's all right. And I was like, you fucking hate it, don't you?
Yeah.
Just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Silence means no. Yeah.
He's like, I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm just seeing it out till I get my pension, because you do a certain amount of years. And he's like,
seeing it out. I'm seeing out my life.
Yeah. Seeing out my life.
You're just seeing out my life. Yeah, good one, mate. You're gonna die. You know, you could die the day after you get your pension.
How many people have though? How many people like it's the carrot. It's the freaking carrot that they, whoever they are, they. You know, they give to you this carrot of the pension.
Big turd carrot.
Fucking tastes like shit anyway.
And then you get there. I literally, you know, like sad but true. Like my granddad went through World War II. You know, it went into the desert. It was one of the desert rats. Survived all that shit. Came back. Did baggage handler for British Airways. Got all the way up to 65. 65, within a year, he's like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to stop working. I'm going to live the life of Riley. Stop. Within a year, he went mad. And within 2 years, he had 2 heart attacks and died. It was 3 years after his freaking pension. Sorry, but, getting loud, but 3 fucking years, and he's dead. What the fuck?
Yeah. You see that quite a lot.
I know. I've seen it so many times, and it's like, you know, that's why I teach Qigong. I do that. But that's why I teach, because you know the whole thing of you want energy. You don't want to quit, retire, and be so knackered you can't do anything because you've got all this free time, but you've got no energy to bloody do it. What's the point in that?
Most people getting through the door at the end of the day, and the fucking missus and the kids are there like, "Hi dad, hi fucking husband," and they're just like, they've got no energy because they've left everything at work. Yeah, they've got nothing left.
But
they've got a certain amount of energy a day.
They're doing something that they hate as well. You know, and it's just like, well, and it's like anybody you speak to in saunas or out like that, or like even in the supermarkets and shit. If you like say to them, it's just like, you know, it's like, do you enjoy your job? And they're just like, pays the bills. And I'm just like, what do you love to do? You know, they were like, oh, I don't really know. I was like, go and find out. Or not, you can do whatever you want, but like, go and find out. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get some people who are, they're like, you know, really inspired. And you have the power to do this. Everybody is. Like, if you go into supermarkets and just like be that inspiring voice, you know, because how many times that you're all right, also whether you're at shit, mate. You know, they're stuck in a fucking supermarket all day, you know. And there are some people who would love that, you know, really personable people and get a lot out of it. But most of it sucks the soul right out of your arsehole. And it's like, you just got to like inspire yourself through that and go like, what is it that you love to do? And it's like, sometimes you get them people who are just like, oh, I'm a bird watcher. And like, I went to Italy this year and did this and that and the other. And it's just like, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, and it's like, you see them light up and you can raise people's energy. Everybody's on about like, you're a healer and all the rest of it. You're all healers.
Yeah.
You all have the power to do this, you know. It's like you all have the power to come on here and share your story and be an inspiration for people and shit, you know what I mean?
Even if you're just an inspiration for yourself. You're talking, you know, you're on your own. I spent years doing podcasts just talking to my freaking self. But people liked it, enjoyed it, and it's like, but it was like, you know, it's that whole thing of just being there for you. Sometimes, you know, your biggest healer, your biggest teacher, your biggest higher self guide is freaking you. That's what you should learn firstly, because you should listen to you more. When you was a kid, you were probably told to shut up, be seen, not heard, and this and that and the other, and it's like, you know, you're meant to actually have confidence about yourself. You're meant to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you've got no chance of wanting anybody else to love.
Nobody else
and it's like, just going like back to like, there's a powerful saying I've had so many times. Do you work to live, or do you live to work? You know, do you work so you can do your hobby and do, you know, so you got to work or pay the bills, but then you get your hobby and you get to do your passions, or are you just working just to freaking work? Because like talk about, devil will take your soul. Most jobs are devils. Most jobs. I worked in a couple of supermarkets and the police, and there were people who are, the old saying, job pissed, that live and die for that job. And it's like, they retire, and I've seen them, they retire and they got nothing. A couple of them, you know, took their lives because they suddenly realised where they were in the job, I miss being a mighty person. And suddenly they're nothing. And it's like, the job doesn't care, you know, the job really doesn't care about you. When I've left my jobs, they replaced me like that. Or they didn't even replace me at all. Like where I used to work in the Met, there's nobody on that freaking ward now, and there used to be me, and everybody knew me because I talk to people and laugh and joke with people, and you know, I'd make it worth doing, and I'd go around and talk people, and that doesn't exist anymore. But it's that whole thing of, what are you doing? Are you doing what you want to do? How do you get to do what you want to do? And freaking figure it out. Figure it out now, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But hey,
don't let your identity become your job. A lot of people do. They get lost, don't they? They get lost, and they're like getting molded by the characters around them, who are just being molded by the corporation, which is the job, which is a fucking made up, man-made corporation, which is giving people an identity, and then they wonder why they're miserable, because their soul knows that they're not being their true, authentic expression in this life. They're just playing a character which has been given to them by a man-made entity. And if you're doing that, which is what a lot of people are doing, then you're never going to be happy, because your soul is absolutely yearning for you to be an expression that is unique to what you actually came here to do. Authenticity vibrates at a frequency which is even higher than the frequency of love. So like, that's, if there's one thing you can be in this life, it's your true authentic self. Give yourself, that is the biggest gift you could ever give yourself. Break free from all the masks and all the chains of all these false identities and characters that you've been playing in your life, just to fit in somewhere, to fit into a certain place in society, to fit into your family, fit into your friend group, to what's societally accepted in your country that you're from, and the culture that you're from. Because none of it is who you truly are. None of it's who you truly came here to be. So you need to find out who you are and start being that, and break free from the chains.
And again, I've noticed over the last 20 years especially, but originally, like you say, you know, I used to always say, you know, be you, be whoever you are, be that. Be, oh yeah, but no, but you know, in society, oh, you know, you don't want people being a mass murderer. You know, why are you picking the worst fucking thing ever?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't want to be a turnip. You know, it's like you know, you are what you are,
That's right,
and you know, but you know, it's the whole thing of Bashar says it. You know, is that you living your joy actually lifts up the universe. Is that you being you helps the
as
universe.
the universe, yeah. And I
Yeah,
think
and
that's
you
a
are
big thing for a lot of people. Is like, because it's all very well and good saying like you got to do this, but everything changes. Like, you know, you have to let go of certain people. You have to change your friend group because you're no longer in alignment with them. And a lot of people don't want to do that. It's like being somebody who's addicted to crack or something, you know. It's like, in order for you to break that, it's all very well and good. You can step away from that, but ultimately, then you have to make choices and go, these people are no longer good for me either. So I've got to go over here. But I can tell you this, when you fucking do, you align to absolutely amazing characters like this. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you actually find your people and you don't have to like pretend and be somebody else around them anymore. You can be who you truly are and be accepted wholly. And that for like all of our nervous systems are like, fucking ace. Because you can just be who you are around these people. But that sometimes means that you have to let go of energies that are no longer in alignment. And that, for me, was a really hard part of it because I cared for these people and I loved these people. But ultimately, I knew that they're not good for me. So it's like, you know, if there's one bad apple in a load of, or no, what is it? If there's 4 losers going around, and that's not a judgment, it's just a discernment. If there's 4 energies that are really toxic, then you will become another toxic one because you'll start playing the games, you'll start going into the drama, you'll get dragged back into all that shit. And sometimes you've just got to go, okay, I love you, but I'm going to do it from afar. And that's a really hard thing to do sometimes. But like I said, you align with the most amazing characters. You really do. Do you know what I mean? I say characters, but like, we're all fucking characters. We all have an energetic blueprint, really, you know, but that's wonderful. It's not saying that you become this personality-less person. Like, your personality is a part of who you are. We all have a, you know, we are all one at the end of the day, but we do have a unique imprint that makes you you. And that is accepted by the people who are also being themselves as well. And that, like, you just feel it. Be around people where you don't have to be like, oh shit, I'm holding my breath and I'm doing this and I'm not really being myself. You want to be around people who are also being themselves, and you can be daft with, you can be fucking stupid, and you can be who you are and do whatever you want and know that it's never going to be judged or anything like that. You know, it's just going to be accepted, you know. It's like, that's a big one.
Yeah. Really
Big
is.
one, yeah. I've got like the story, and you probably might have heard this. Have you heard that experiment? I think it was David Blaine or the British guy who does all the things where all these people.
Darren Brown.
Darren Brown, that's it.
Yeah.
These people went into this room, right? And there was these 4 actors, and there was these like 10 chairs lined up against the wall, and there was a beep that kept going off. And every time the beep went off, the 4 actors would stand up, and then it'd beep again, they'd sit back down again. So this person just walked into this room next to these people, reading the newspaper in a waiting room, beep, all 4 of them stood up, beep, all 4 of them sat down. I was like, what the fuck? And then like a couple of times he was like, right, I better start doing it then because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Beep, he stood up, beep, he stood down. An actor goes out, another person comes in. So beep, same thing happens again, looks for a couple of times and then starts doing it with them. Before you know it, there's
all
no
the
actors
actors
left
are
in
gone.
the room, and all that's left is people who are standing up for this beep and then sitting
Why
down.
are we doing this? I don't know. They were doing it.
Exactly.
Society.
Eventually, this one person came in and he's like that, sits down, all these people beep, standing up, beep, sitting down. He's like, oh, fuck this. See that guy? That's who you want to be. And then if you start doing that, you're going to find other people who don't do the same thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell, isn't it?
Exactly.
He's done some really interesting ones because there was one on luck that he did, and basically so I'll do like a short version. There was like a Bill the Butcher, and Bill the Butcher. They sort of made this thing up. Oh, there's this statue, this lucky statue, and they're making a big thing. You think, oh, it's all about this statue that they're sort of brainwashing people into thinking that this is a lucky statue. And this guy, Bill the Butcher, they interview him and he said, "Oh, I've always been unlucky. You know, I've never been a lucky person. I've always been unlucky." And Darren Brown goes, "Right, we're gonna test this." So they post through his door they post through a scratch card that he's going to win a fiver, and then phone this number and you win the money. Never phones the number. Next, there's a lady standing at the side doing a survey, and if you do the survey, you'll get £30. And he's, I haven't got time. I've got to go. Goes off, and he was just going to the cafe, I think. Then they put a wallet with £100 in it, and again he just walked past it. So Darren Brown had to literally put a big notice board saying, well, I said, I've forgotten the name I bloody used now. Bill the butcher. I said, Bill, phone this number now. And he phones this number, and the guy, Darren Brown, calls him and says, right, I want to meet you. You've been part of an experiment. And he showed him the video, says, you were missing every one of these opportunities you missed because of your beliefs. And then they did this thing where if he bets £1,000 of his money, he could win 20 grand on a dice. He had to roll a 6. And whether it was real or not, he rolls a 6 and he gets the 20 grand. Oh no, actually it could be 100 grand. Doesn't matter. The whole point is he took a fucking risk. He took it, and he's like, are you saying things because and making that your reality? Are you saying, oh, I can't do that because of this, I can't do that because of the other, or are you actually taking the risks? Are you actually going, no, I can do this, I can, it's not I can't, I will, I do. And it's like the way you speak is literally shaping your reality and shaping the way you are.
Shaping the dream, isn't it? Yeah. Shaping the dream. It's class. I love that. I actually went to see Darren Brown in a stage show in Glasgow. I think it was in Glasgow. That was really cool. I think your lives ended. And yeah, it was just incredible. Seeing him in
I said, ruin the bloody set.
I'm waiting for the guitar to fall over that classic shot. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible on stage, because actually seeing it in real life was just absolutely unbelievable, But yeah, I love experiments like that. But it's society, and that's what's happened. I love that analogy of what you said, Matty. It's like, yeah, it's just what society's doing. Oh, the news says this, we'll go and do this. The newspapers say this, we'll just conform and do everything. It's just like, why? Oh, because I don't actually know. And you dig even slightly into why they're doing things, and they don't know. It's all this superficial sort of look at life that's controlling them, I guess. It's really interesting.
Hey, what do we know?
Indeed.
Hey,
perfect timing.
That's
not going to be nice, that one.
It's so few though, isn't it? And that's what it comes back to, the paradigm shifting. And that's what all three of us do. You see, the paradigm right now that needs shifting is as smell as Sam's poo. But all we need to do we just need to
both does need moving and not.
All we need to do is surrender, and eventually the shit will remove itself. You know what I mean? We can't make the shit go. We have to wait for the shit to leave on its own accord.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's just have to wait for it to dissipate so much that you can't smell it anymore.
You can't create or destroy shit. Shit was always there to begin with. You better wait for it to dissipate.
Toilet humour.
Yeah, totally mixed in with metaphysics. That's it. Yeah. That's it. I love it. Fantastic.
But yeah, a lot of what we talk about, like on the men's gathering, like fucking it links in with a lot of things, but it's like paradigm shifting, isn't it? The way you, like Sifu was saying before, it's
the way you view reality.
The lens of which your reality lens is so important, and so many people are subscribed unconsciously to a lens that is not theirs, which causes them to suffer. And all they need to do is just remove those glasses and put on a fresh pair. And guess what? That pair of glasses that you put on, you can change that every single moment of every single day.
Yeah.
And you feel like a lot of people think that they're locked into this lens of which they're doing it with. Oh, this is bad. That's good. That makes me suffer. That doesn't make me feel good. I need to be scared of that. I need to avoid this. Bollocks. It's all made up.
Yeah. Because whatever you're scared of will ultimately control you. As soon as you turn around and you face whatever it is that you think has control over you. Yeah. And I go into this because it has, in my journey, I've been to places that are really, really uncomfortable energetically. And I had to go there. But as soon as I turned around and I went psychotic for 8 months, keep going into this, but I went psychotic for 8 months, And the moment it ended was when I meditated into the thing that I was most terrified of. And when I did that, it dissipated. I cried it all up and out of my system, and I energetically released it. And the next day, the universe was like, fucking A, mate. Ready? We're going to show you a mad synchronicity to tell you that that's what you were wanting and needing to do, you know. And it started opening doors. I'd had my cards. This is something that I can't prove to you. You have to prove it to yourself, and that's the beauty of it. When you do prove these things to yourself, that you are in control fully of your reality, and it's your fears that control you. Anyway, the next day after I released that and meditated it, I released it all out of my system through meditation. Like, the universe started opening doors for me, and it controls everything. You think there's an ego mind here controlling anything? There isn't. Because the next day I got 2 calls within 10 minutes of one another. I'd had my cards in this bus shelter in this little obscure village, and 2 people phoned me who had picked up my cards, and my cards had been there for 2 months. They phoned me within 10 minutes of one another wanting work from me. Yeah. And it was just like, and they said like, oh, we live at Tyrrell House. And then the other person said, oh, we live at this thing. And I'm like, that's funny. They're both in Tyrrell. My cards are all over the place. And I got no calls from my handyman business up until the point when I'd released this energetically. So you're changing your frequency. Then the universe goes, well done. And these people were neighbours, and they didn't know that each one of them had phoned me. And I'm finished quoting a job for these people. And I went, do you know where this house is? And they said, yeah, it's next door. And I was like, oh, no way. Do you know that she rang me like 10 minutes after you did? And they were like, no. And I'm just like, what? No way. Like, what are the chances of that? It's the universe. It's going, ha, this will make you laugh. And that's what a synchronicity is. Follow those things. Follow numbers. Follow all of this shit. Follow bird calls. Follow little cracks in the building. You know, it's like the tap dripping at a certain moment when you're thinking a certain thing, or your body nudging and tapping in meditation. We're all one thing, you know. We're named, you know, Boggy, Sam, Matty, but really it's like we're all the Tao. We're all the Tao interacting with itself. Hence why we've all come back together now to do what we're doing now with the men's gathering, share this wealth of knowledge that helps people live their lives in a completely different way, because they're perceiving reality in a completely different paradigm. You're expanding through the layers of reality, and it really gets fun and magical. And still don't understand it, but I know that it works. You know,
I love the one like you said, and it reminds me of something my Steve would say, where like, you know, like we were saying that, oh, if we, you know, at the men's gathering, we get someone say, oh, you know, my legs fell off, my ears fell off, and then it's like, God, awesome!
Yeah.
So much learning there, so many things you can like learn from, and it's like, you know, it's like, don't see your life full of woes. Your life is full of yos. You know, it's full of goes. It's full of information. It's full of things that you can learn, you know, learn from. And then you sort of was something else earlier about, oh yeah, you were saying, Matty, about like letting go of possessions. There's a Buddhist saying that they talk about the rucksack on your back, and saying that if you everything that goes past, everything you receive and goes through your life, you keep putting into your back, and your rucksack gets heavier and heavier and heavier. But if you don't let it get out, don't let it go, you'll be weighed down with all this shite. So like the physical stuff is a metaphor for the emotional stuff and the spiritual stuff. It's like, let shit go. And that's what we're saying, like going back to the full circle, going back to the beginning, letting stuff go. So that means that you can be free and you can float, and you can go wherever the Tao takes you and wherever you're meant to be, far easier than when you're burdened down with stuff. And if shit keeps happening to it, like there's a psychology, simple psychology, is that you can't change your reality until you change your perception of reality, until you change the way you react to reality. Einstein said that, you know, the height of lunacy is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. Is that until you change the way you see things and react to them, you can't change the result. You know, you'll still get the same things over and over and over again. And it's the universe going, have you learned yet?
Are you taking responsibility yet? That's it, isn't it? You know, I'm going back to the the weight as well, carrying the weight and everything. It was like, I remember I was lying in my sister's backyard one day, just looking up, and like the sparrow, not the sparrow, the swallow was flying around, and it's darting about, and it weighs fuck all, and it's just going, and it can change direction whenever it wants. And then a big seagull came over, and it's like, oh, that has to, like, it's slow and cumbersome to like shift and move. And I was just looking at them going like, oh yeah, that's like the stuff that you keep. It weighs you down, so you can't change, and you can't be as in flow with the Tao because you weigh a lot and you're carrying more stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really cool, isn't it? It's all there. It's all there in nature. Like, it's like beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Nature is your biggest teacher, isn't it? Nature does teach you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It teaches you, like, you've got to let go of things. Like, everything's in constant fluctuation, isn't it? The only constant in the universe is change. We've got to learn to go with that change, haven't we? We've got to become a part of that change. It's because otherwise we're just going to be holding on. It's like if you're in a river and the river's flowing really fast.
Yeah, let's see if you're getting chucked into the thing.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all right, I got nothing here. Thanks, mate.
It's like you can hold on to this rock and your arms are going to get tired. You're fighting against the current. He's got a literal physical like story of it, like you told earlier. Or you can just let go with the flow, and then land where you land at the end of it. Do you know what I mean?
Trust that the river will always take you out to source, isn't it? That's it, really. It's like the cycle of, again, observing nature. We as consciousness, we drop down into this earth realm in drops, each dropping onto the land, and then we get in, we absorb into the actual earth itself. And then from there, we then flow into the streams, and it's like, as consciousness, we flow into the streams and we get bigger and bigger, and we come together and collect, and then we go into like the streams to the rivers, and then the rivers to the estuaries, and then the estuaries into the source itself, which is the sea. And then again we evaporate up again, and we get carried over in the etheric realm, we drop back down again, and we do that whole cycle endlessly. And that cycle itself feeds and nourishes all of this earth, and it's like, that's a really beautiful way to look at it, or that's the way I like to look at it. But observing anything for long enough, like even if you stared at a piece of wood, it's quite good. Like just for meditation, is literally staring at a fire and watching it, the beauty of its destruction and the light that it's giving off, and the heat and the energy. But then eventually it all just falls into itself and then comes to the ash. And it's like, you learn so much from just looking at fires. I love fires.
You speak to any fireman, they will tell you, it's something we don't really talk about, but they truly believe fire is conscious. They truly think it's alive, because they've seen things that will make them feel that it's going towards them, or it's something giving them a gap to get through, and it's like the fire's alive. The fire is conscious, and I truly believe that. I truly believe that from the dragon or shaman stuff, like following on water and like it's sort of like Akashic records, but of that item and tuning into it. And there's a thing in quantum physics. They say that atoms are conscious. That there's evidence that shows that atoms are conscious. And if an atom is conscious, that means the rock's conscious, the wind's conscious, everything is freaking conscious. And I tell you what was also conscious is your emotions. Your emotions, like, you focus on fear, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. You focus on anger, you're feeding it. So it's not just like the monkey with the ego, but actual emotions themselves are conscious. And I think people struggle with that at times, but it's like because I've seen, I've seen like the emotion of laughter, the emotion, and like you've seen like a whole crowd of people getting more and more happy. You have to do that freaking I'm still here picture.
The first one.
So no, I can't do it. Sifu!
You're a robot.
I'm not a robot. I'm a Sifu! Right, yeah, and it's like I've seen, and like the equal leaders, it's already coming alive. It's already a thing.
It's already an entity.
It's already a consciousness itself. And I really honestly believe, I had a show called The Way of Conscious Mindfulness, and that had a personality. It had its own life. It had its own and again, people sort of struggle with that at first, but things are alive. Things you put energy into them, you create a life. Actually, I'll very quickly say this and then pass it back around. Is that there's a document about, and it's said to be 100% true, that Tibetan monks basically meditated in Tibet on a golem that they create, and they created this entity. It's like, almost like a sort of like, and they created this beast, and it came out of the darkness, and it was around. It was documented to be around for about 36 hours, and it's this thing of you can. I truly believe that. Well, whether it's manifested from nothing or it's come from another reality, you've pulled it from another reality, because there's documents that state that there are all dimensions exist. Every story is channeled. You're not making any shit up.
Original
it's
thought.
actually real. Yeah,
and the ownership is something that's done by the ego that goes like, I came up with that, and it's just like, no, you fucking didn't, because you don't exist.
Yeah.
But I do believe that, actually, because I was watching a program the other day and on Netflix. It's a Surviving Death series, and in that goes into like mediumship, and they're talking about like ectoplasm and all this sort of stuff, where they sit around in a thing and they can conjure, and they like all this ectoplasm comes out and it forms something in front of them. And I'm guessing that's exactly what the monks were doing as well, creating these things. It's just like, oh, fuck it, why not? Let's give it a go. It's just let's create a golem, and chase it around for 36 hours and then shag it and kill it.
We're not saying the monks did that. Well,
I am. We were with different stories. It's like, let's create a golem. And then fuck it.
Indeed.
Great when we tits next time.
Class, love it. You've always got to bring it back to humour as well, and that's a really important fucking point. Don't take this life too seriously, everybody, because my God, like when we do, it just gets so bloody. It's more fear and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't take it on. Yeah, exactly.
Energy transmutation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the purest form, isn't it?
And I love like the darker humour side of things as well, because like, you can. I know it's my inherent thing is to have a real dark sense of humour, because it just saves you in so many things. When you can really laugh in the face of adversity, it doesn't matter what's coming up. Whatever that click was that agrees. Do you know what I mean? Like, God's not sat up there going like, it must behave all the time and blah 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 blah. It's all this conditioning because we don't want to go to hell or be judged when we die. We judge ourselves when we die. Do you know what I mean? But we won't be judging ourselves when we're having a laugh and things. And it's like, be kind as much as you can, but also at the same time, you can be a knob as long as you're joking. Do you know what I mean? It's like all these comedians out there, unlike the ones who are so like not serious about themselves, and they can laugh at themselves. And when you realise we're all one, you're always laughing at yourself. That's a big, big one in this. Always laughing at yourself. But it's like, don't think there's anything too outside of the box or whatever. It's like, if you act on those things and you hurt people or whatever it is, then that's not good. If everybody's on the same page and they know that you're laughing, but the world as I see it, since like 2012, something happened in 2012 where everybody started this, what's the term, where you take mass offence to everything, or it's like
fucking idiot.
I was going to say arseholes, but
I couldn't remember the term, Matthew. Thank you. But there is this, like, this, it's not virtue signaling, it's another thing, but like, everybody's choosing to take offence at everything. What is it?
Bringing distance?
No, cognitive dissonance. No, it's like just everybody's taking life far too seriously, and cancel culture. That's what it is. Cancel cunts. Cancel culture. Right? It is. It's that cancel culture. You can't say that, and it's the breakdown of free word. It's like you've got to allow everybody to have a word. It doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. Do you know what I mean? But you've got to allow that freedom. That openness to be who you are. Whereas like on here and TikTok and things like that, it's like there's certain things that you can't say now. You can't say that. That's hate speech and all the rest of it. And I've been banned for that before. And it was like for saying something ridiculous. Like utterly ridiculous. I'm like joking, obviously, about that. You can't even have a joke anymore. And that's the point that it has to get to in this really dense reality that we're living in right now. Is like, it has to get to the point where everybody's being, shh, can't say that. And it's just like, why not? You know, it's like, why not? And it's like, everybody's open to say whatever they like. You don't have to agree with it, you know, but if you don't like it, that's fine. You know what I mean? It's like,
But I think that's my point. Like, I think I'm seeing a change. I'm seeing it because
it's gone
like
so far into the red, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That we're going like, oh,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous now. Like,
because I said to her like earlier is that, you know, like I used to get so like on Facebook, I used to get so many haters. There's an abundant of them, and I get a few on here, but nothing like I used to. And I used to, one of my sayings, you know, there is no good or bad, just is. The amount of people would go freaking mental. What about this? What about that? More TV car. What about what about it? It's like, but you know, if you see the bigger picture, you realise, like I say, like, you know, like when something bad happens to you, it's not bad. It's actually a lesson. Learn from the lesson. It won't happen again. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't learn from the lesson, it'll happen again.
Yeah, exactly. It's only hurting you. That's it.
That's it. If you fucking want to learn from it, you want to progress, you want to move on and learn from it. But yeah, everything in life, like, just happens. Like, it's called the universe, isn't it? It's because like life is just like a big, massive mirror, and it's just mirroring where you are back to you. And there's going to be 1,000 opportunities every day for you to notice yourself in your outside world. And then it's up to you if you want to make any changes or if you feel like you need to make any changes or anything.
What? When I looked at it, guess the time.
Go on.
Yeah. 5 1s.
5 1s. 5-1. England versus Germany, 1998. But yeah, no, it's so true, isn't it? Like that's what it is, and that's what we've noticed. Like when we've started being our true, authentic selves. Like I've actually started being open about my own journey in the way that I interpret it, and it's like, what do I actually feel about it? Not what am I being told off this person or that person about. Oh yeah, that means this and that means that. No, fuck that. What do I think? And then in doing that, I've ended up like meeting other people who do the same thing. And in their own unique way, and it's fucking magic. And you can come together and have these sorts of conversations. Do you know what I mean? And
you can be relaxed and free and like you were when you were a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. It's like, you know, this life is meant to be that, you know, God wants us to be abundant. You know, the Tao wants you to be abundant. You know, it wants you to be happy. You know, it's not that money is the all and end all of that, but there's a level of contentment within that. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't want us to be poor all the time and giving endlessly. You know, so that we're drained. It's like, it's not serving anybody that. And it's a big, big part of this. And yeah, it's a beautiful journey. But, you know, life is meant to be that we are children, but we have money and cars and we can go on holidays and do all those things and still be childlike. You know what I mean? It's like to be silly and not serious. And and that's the real surrendering and letting go, because you realise you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You just have to be coming from here, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, it's the best thing. And you do fall back into the mind every now and again, you know, but it's like knowing what that brings you back into that and recognizing that and then not falling into that again. That's a big part of it. But yeah, it's like my heart's so open when I'm with these guys. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just so nice. Like, it's so nice to be in that place, you know. You don't have to watch what you're doing or anything like this anymore. And it's just like, oh shit, spill a drink. And it's like, oh, give a fuck, like, you know.
We was actually having tea earlier on today, and like just the conversation we was having, and you turned around and said like it's such a blessing to have like these sorts of conversations just over the dinner table, like that, and that's what people should be doing, and that's what we're going to be doing, and that's what we want other people to do. Because that's what it is. You shouldn't be sat there like having this character of who your family think you should be from your memories be projected back towards you, and you're like feeling kind of resistance because you're like, but that isn't me anymore. That isn't who I am or who I want to be or who I've ever wanted to be. It's this projection of me that you've got, this character that I am in your mind, and you're expecting this performance, but it's not fucking happening anymore. Because I've woken up to the illusion, and I'm now stepping into who I want to be, and who I am, and what I'm here to express. And people get uncomfortable by it, don't they? And If people are uncomfortable by it to the point where it triggers them and they try to drag you back into that older version of you, that's when the letting go comes into it. That's when you've got decisions to make, and that's when people are going to start falling away from your life. Because if you're going to radically let go of the version of you that you once was, it means letting go of those people that are trying to uphold that character to your detriment. And that's when you've got to step into your power and start to fully surrender to who you're supposed to be.
Exactly. And also, it's allowing them to be who they are as well, to allow them to, go down that road as well and live their life exactly as they want. That's true unconditional love. There's been a mismatch in the sort of new age and stuff like that, where it's like, I know we've got to be the love and light all the time and all of this sort of stuff. When you're your true self, you're not all love and light. You are you, and that means that like 50% of people are going to love you, and 50% of people aren't really going to like you that much. Not always that percentages. Do you know what I mean? But when you're around people who are not being themselves, they will want you to go back so that they can feel comfortable being who they were pretending to be. But once you start stepping out of that, and it's such a liberating thing. But it's like, it's arrogant of us to expect them to change as well. It's like, it's not for us to change them. It's not for you to change them. It's for you to just do you, and don't resist that letting go and that surrendering in all ways,
Be you to the full.
Be you to the full, as our wonderful Kane Strongbird says. That's it. Be you to the full. Full fat fuck yes to life. Let's go. Have it large.
Yeah, but that's all you. That's all you can be.
Yeah. Or small.
I don't have anything.
What do we know?
Exactly. Measurement doesn't exist anywhere. Like scale in infinity.
But but that's always. Well, it depends honestly, it depends what you believe in, but that's amazing. I had a friend who always used to say, look at the stars. And you think, we're a tiny little rock hurtling through space, surrounded by stars, and those stars are just one clump of thousands of clumps that exist. So we're both insignificant and with the most important thing, all at the same time. Is that you're everything and nothing, and that's the whole wonder and mystery and like oxymoron of reality, is that you're everything and nothing all at once. You're literally, this is important, you are the star of your own story. You're the fucking hero.
Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be.
Yeah.
That's it.
But in other people's story, you're totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
Or you might be important for a bit, but but their story is their fucking story. You worry about you and and helping others, the best you can. But you've got to look after you. Go back to that 51%. Look after you first, because if you don't look after you, then you're fucked, basically, because you'll deteriorate and you'll burn out. And then you can't help anybody, because that's the one thing. You want to be there for others, then look after yourself. Because actually, this did my head in. Once told this by one of my seafoods, is that actually being selfless and helping everybody else is actually the most selfish thing you can do, because you'll eventually become a burden to other people, because you'll burn yourself out, and then somebody's got to look after you.
Yeah.
So actually being selfless and giving and worrying about everybody else and not yourself is actually the most selfish thing you can do, which is like, blow your brain.
Basically a wanker in disguise, aren't you?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, you're a wanker in disguise.
We're gonna have to look after you, Grandma.
Like my mate used to say, though, like, he'd be like, put your own life jacket on first. Like, if an airplane goes down into the water and you're like putting everybody else's life jacket on, then you're just gonna get knackered and drown. Whereas if you just bang yours on first, tie it nice and tight, and that, get your whistle ready, and then you can go and sort other people out. Make sure you're all right first.
Was it the term I like? The term I realised was like, what is it? It's like, you matter, but at the same time you don't matter a fuck either. Like, it's like you are both insignificant and the most incredible thing ever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I like that. I came to the realization, it's like, nothing matters. No, nothing matters. It's like, but when you come to that realization, the paradox of it is, all you want to do is love everything. It's like, you know, 'cause it's like there's no pressure then anymore. You know, you've surrendered entirely and stuff, and it's like that's the beauty of this. I love the paradoxes here. You know what I mean? It's like sheep. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the sheep is both all of the sheep and it's one sheep because it's a sheep, and you have many sheep. It's mad, that, isn't it?
And
You
they
know,
move together
you've
like
got one
cohesive
cow
mind.
and you've got some cows, but with sheep, it's do you know what I mean? Though I love that. Yeah, exactly, bonkers, mate. You know, it's like you got the one sheep, and you have all the sheep,
And they move around together like one cohesive
Yeah,
mind.
exactly.
And
That's
feel
it.
They all go the same
There's
way.
so many analogies in sheep, isn't there? It's like, yeah, it's beautiful.
Sheeple.
Yeah.
Sheeple. Anyway.
I'm sure,
Oh well.
I'm sure we'll think of some more.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Hope you enjoyed that.
Putting up with us this evening.
Yeah. Yeah, look, somebody said on here it's the best hour they've had. It's like, bloody hell,
Ever
you
in
be
your
desperate.
life.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I have that. Love you.
There you go.
All right. See you later, guys. Take care.
Spot on, folks. All right.
Bye for now.
Love yous. Remember, you matter, and you also don't matter.
Yeah, you matter.
Antimatter.
Yes, you are matter.
Antimatter.